A little TikTok weight room vlog. We're gonna show you what we do. Get the butt down. Okay, speed. Okay, speed.
When you first see Caitlin Clark on the court, you might not immediately register the dramatic transformation that has taken place over the offseason. Once known primarily for her long-range precision and slick handles, the 22-year-old has now emerged with a noticeably stronger, more explosive build that speaks to months of grueling work in the weight room. Formerly criticized by some for appearing too lean or even fragile for the physical demands of the professional game, Clark has evolved into a player whose very presence now redefines what it means to be a dual threat in the WNBA. The buzz began when coach Stephanie White confirmed that the transformation was real. "She's gotten significantly bigger," White remarked in an interview that sent ripples through the basketball community.
Oh, she is strong. All right, guys, that's our lift.
What might have been seen as a mere tweak or a temporary change has in fact become a complete metamorphosis. Clark's physique has shifted dramatically. Gone is the image of a skinny, easily pushed around rookie. Instead, we now see a player who has bulked up with purpose, refining her physical attributes to better absorb contact and dish out her own brand of physicality on the court. For those who watched her early days in the league, it's almost as if a switch has been flipped. During her rookie season, despite displaying an elite shooting range and innate playmaking abilities, Clark was met with a harsh reality. The WNBA is not as forgiving as the collegiate environment when it comes to physicality. Her opponents, ranging from seasoned veterans to other young stars, were not shy about taking their best swings both literally and figuratively at her. Commentators recalled how, at times, she looked as if she were enduring a barrage of hits from defenders like Kennedy Carter and Angel Reese, who were determined to test every limit of her endurance. Some even suggested that her slight frame would eventually be exploited, predicting that the relentless physical play would break her down over time. Yet instead of succumbing to these challenges, Clark used them as fuel.
A basketball question. I know that you work really hard in the off-season. You said yesterday you're always trying to get better. What's the thing that you're working on in this off-season?
I think, honestly, besides the actual basketball skill part of it, I think getting strong.
Rather than crumbling under the weight of constant double teams and aggressive contact, she took careful mental and physical notes. Every shove, every hard-fought rebound, every contact, both legal and borderline, became a lesson in resilience. In a recent in-depth interview, Clark herself revealed that the off-season was not spent idly. "I'm always looking to improve every aspect of my game," she noted, emphasizing that her focus wasn't solely on skill development, but also on building strength. "I've been putting in the work, especially in the weight room. I knew that to truly compete at the next level, I needed to be stronger." Her approach was methodical. Instead of simply adding muscle, Clark rethought her entire training regimen. It wasn't enough to just lift heavy weights. She had to integrate basketball-specific drills that would translate that newfound power into improved performance on the court. The days of being bullied by physical mismatches are over. No longer is she a player who can be easily overpowered. Instead, she has become a veritable tank, an imposing presence who can muscle her way into the paint, absorb contact, and even initiate it herself. It's hard to overstate just how transformative this evolution has been. Stephanie White was quick to praise the work Clark has put in, remarking that the improvement is not merely cosmetic. She's not only stronger, she's faster, more durable, and has an explosive edge that wasn't there before, White said.
The time in the weight room, so that's what I've tried to focus on the most here. And then obviously a lot of things on the court. I'm always wanting to get better, and that's kind of what drives me, and I love it. I love getting to do it, and I feel very fortunate that it's my job.
And indeed, the impact of this change goes far beyond just physical strength. With a stronger frame comes an entirely new set of tactical advantages. Clark can now post up defenders, initiate physical plays in the low post, and even turn a defensive assignment into an offensive opportunity by simply shrugging off what used to be game-altering contact. There's also a matter of respect, a respect that has, until now, been something that Clark had to work hard to earn. In previous seasons, when her teammates or opposing players saw her being pushed around, they might have underestimated her ability to withstand the WNBA's physical grind. Critics like Gino Orma had even voiced doubts, insinuating that the league's inherent toughness would expose her vulnerabilities. However, as many analysts now note, that criticism has been met with a decisive rebuttal in the form of Clark's transformed physique and mentality. "If Caitlin Clark is on your team, you know you have the right team," one commentator pointed out, drawing a parallel to how the addition of a superstar can redefine the fortunes of a franchise, much like Michael Jordan did in his era. But the narrative isn't solely about physical dominance. It's about evolution in every facet of her game. Even before the offseason, Clark had already established herself as one of the most dynamic offensive players in the league. It's not just the numbers that are causing a stir. It's the mindset shift that accompanies such a profound transformation. When asked about the changes in her training, Clark candidly explained that the offseason was about more than just adding weight. "I wasn't content with just being a shooter," she said in a recent sit-down interview with Our Sport Pulse. "I knew I had to address every part of my game. I've been working on my ball handling under pressure, my mid-range shooting, and most importantly, learning how to finish through contact." In that interview, she described how her approach to physical challenges changed from a place of vulnerability to one of opportunity. Instead of dreading physical contact, she began to see it as another tool, one that could be harnessed to control the game. Indeed, the impact of this mental shift has been profound. Previously, when faced with the prospect of double teams or aggressive defensive schemes, Clark sometimes hesitated, her lean frame making her seem more susceptible to being overwhelmed. But now, armed with confidence that comes from a noticeably more robust build and an enhanced training regimen, she is more willing than ever to engage in the physical aspects of the game. That willingness, in turn, has forced opposing teams to revise their defensive strategies entirely. No longer can they rely solely on speed or finesse to neutralize her. They must now contend with a player who meets aggression with aggression, who turns physical disadvantages into offensive opportunities.
She has gotten significantly bigger. Stephanie White has confirmed it. Stephanie White has gone out here and confirmed that Caitlin Clark has been bulking up.
This dramatic evolution isn't happening in a vacuum. It's the result of countless hours in the gym, countless drills designed to simulate the rigors of professional play, and a level of self-awareness that few players can claim. Her teammates and coaches have noticed it too. In team meetings, discussions have shifted from, can she handle the physicality, to how do we best utilize her new strengths? The entire team is reconfiguring its approach, integrating Clark's evolved game into offensive schemes that take full advantage of her ability to both shoot from distance and dominate inside. It's a holistic transformation, one that touches on every aspect of her play, from her shooting mechanics to her post-up moves, from her defensive positioning to her ability to make split-second decisions under pressure. The narrative surrounding Clark's transformation has become a central talking point among basketball fans and pundits alike. Some critics who once questioned whether she would be overwhelmed by the league's physical demands are now left scrambling to adjust their opinions.
This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. You know, Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team.
The same voices that once doubted her ability to endure the relentless pace and physical style of the WNBA are now forced to acknowledge that she is not only surviving, but thriving. Every time she steps on the court, she sends a message that the old stereotypes about her have been completely upended. Even more intriguing is the way in which her evolution is challenging long-held assumptions about player development in the women's game. For years, critics argued that college stars who transitioned to the professional league often struggled to adapt to the higher level of physicality. But Clark's journey suggests that with the right mindset and the willingness to put in the work both mentally and physically, a player can not only bridge that gap, but redefine it entirely. Her off-season training isn't merely a short-term fix. It's an investment in a long-term strategy aimed at elevating her game to unprecedented heights.
She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league, and she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to...
To put it into perspective, consider how opponents are now forced to rethink their defensive schemes. Previously, when defenders saw Clark dribbling around the perimeter, they assumed that her best weapon was her range. That assumption allowed them to settle in, focus on contesting her shots from distance, and let her operate in isolation. But now, with her expanded offensive toolkit and her fortified physical presence, she no longer adheres to that predictable mold. Instead, she uses her strength to draw defenders in, create driving lanes, and finish at the rim with a blend of power and finesse that leaves spectators in awe. The transformation isn't just a change in statistics, it's a revolution in how she influences the flow of the game. One of the most fascinating aspects of this transformation is the interplay between raw physical development and the mental resilience that accompanies it. In interviews, Clark has stressed that the gym is not just a place to build muscle, but a crucible for building character. Every rep, every drill, every moment of pain in the weight room is a step toward becoming a more complete athlete. That dedication has not gone unnoticed by her peers or by those analyzing the game.